for elementary school, there wasn't that much technology. I actually really wasn't reading until my first and second grade year. My dyslexia was, I'm kind of the poster boy for it, to be frank, and until I went to a specialized school for it, it wasn't really addressed.
Reading was tough, for sure. I spent a lot of the time in another group away from my friends. And it was slow and I didn't really get it. But understanding my learning difference and understanding that I was bad at reading, I found ways around that with audiobooks and other things.
Just trying to get through day by day. It was more, I would just focus on a word and it would take me maybe a couple minutes just to read it.
So I struggled a lot in elementary school and middle school. Of course, it got worse throughout the grades. So like in first and second grade, we would have these chapter books to read, and we would have to read a certain amount of pages, and your parent would have to sit there and listen. And it would take me so long, my mother would fall asleep.
I have terrible dysgraphia, so whenever I write something, my teachers would usually have to ask me, what the heck did you just write? And a lot of times I would have to translate each in single sentence because they couldn't read my handwriting. And I couldn't even get the help I needed at schools because, well, I have also a weird form of dyslexia. I can read really well, but when it comes to new words and spelling, I'm just terrible at it. And the school board thought I was way too smart to have any of these problems.
Computers, when you first start using a computer as a student, to be frank, I know that my generation is a very technology-based generation, but I had no idea what I was doing.
And then when I went to Summit, we started to implement technology that year, which is very lucky for me. We had an iPad program where it was like speech to text. And I didn't really want to use technology at first. I just wanted to be the normal student that didn't need it, which affected my grade heavily. But then I started to step into it, and it became very helpful. At first, it was hard to, get it working for me. But when it worked, it was just full steam ahead.
I also struggled with organization because I was always rushing to finish something.
It was a paper here and there that were totally in the wrong spots. It was just to shove it in my binder because I wasn't sure I had the time to put it away, or I wasn't sure, or it was a mess overall. And then when we got our computers for school, it was very easy and it's very neat and it works perfectly. All you do is go in, type in a folder, let's say English 11, and you go into the English folder, papers, essays, homework assignments, and then within that you have all your Google papers.
Google Drive has really helped me organize all my work at school. Because you can organize folders, documents for all your work, and it's just really helped me stay organized. My backpack would be filled with all these papers, and it'd be really unorganized. But with Google Drive, you can organize each folder, and it's all digitals, and it saves everything automatically for you, so you don't have to worry about losing any work.
I think because technology is so integrated into their lives, it's an easy solution to show them how to use it for their organizational life. And so that could be as simple as telling them, hey, why don't you use Siri or WordQ to remind yourself that you have to do a worksheet tonight. So go ahead and speak into your phone, let yourself know, set a reminder for 5 p.m. math worksheet.
I use audiobooks for everything. For my, personally, I now really love to read. So what I'll do is that I'll go buy my physical book either on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and then I'll also purchase the audiobook.
The books we read, they're not easy books, but we space them out, and we do one detail at a time so you can understand it more thoroughly. My grandmother says the books that we sometimes read are like college level.
This school teaches you not only strategies that you can use, but opens you up to new technologies, like maybe this will work for you, maybe this will. And if you are, if you know yourself well enough, you're going to be able to pick what technologies work for you.
Desmo is multiple different things. It has calculator feature, which it's like the T80 freeze, but like on the computer, and you can make this really big graph. So when you make graphs, it's a lot easier than either writing it on a piece of paper or actually using the calculator, which takes multiple steps. All you have to do is enter a couple numbers and bam, you got your graph.
We use FaceTime a lot. Group chats we have a lot of, and we would all be like communicating and giving each other help, and if they weren't here, this is what we did in class, like taking pictures of the whiteboard and sending it to the person, like, this is what we did in class, you weren't here, here's the notes.
Especially Quizlet, which we use in Spanish, which really helps when you have a learning difference. I had to learn Hebrew, but I could never learn it. And I thought I was going to never be able to learn Spanish, but with things like Quizlet, it's helped me learn the concepts faster with their quizzes or the flashcards or the quote-unquote games they have on there, which has helped me be able to actually speak in Spanish and write it, which I thought would never be possible to learn another language with my learning differences.
I do have a problem with being repetitive. So having something read back to me, whereas if I don't have somebody next to me, is incredible, because then I'm able to hear, okay, this is being said 3 times, only needs to be said once, take it out, put a new idea in.
Grammarly is an interesting site. It's pretty much what it does with Google Docs and Word. When you get a word wrong, it underlines it in red, and you can choose out of words, but it takes it to a higher level. So let's say I am uncertain if this paragraph I'm in, I would copy and paste it into its document, and it would check it, and it would make suggestions like, I think you're using the wrong word here. Do you want to change it to what I believe the right word is? Or it'll say you're missing a comma here, or you need a period here, or it'll say just normal grammar mistakes that Google or Word does not catch. It's really helpful because sometimes I would put a word that is correct, but the wrong word. And then Grammarly catches that, which is a lot easier.
There's a different program here that they use. It's called WordQ, where it's similar, but when you type on the computer, it speaks back the exact word that you typed. So it allows you to type out your thoughts, but also be reading it to you as you type. You can choose the option of your voice, how fast they read, the volume level, and as well as your speaker. It helps me understand what I'm saying and helps me build off from that idea.
I had to write a 3-page paper about nuclear weapons during the Cold War, and I word queued that whole paper 3 times, and it earned me a very high grade, and I'm grateful for that because I had that technology at hand. When you don't have, for somebody like myself, who now, yes, is, from where I used to be, I am a very strong reader. I can read on my own, but having something read to me my work has propelled me to be just a completely different student.
I've always been shy, so advocating was hard for me, but the teachers helped me a lot with that, and they're always like, what can we do better, and do you want us to slow it down or speed it up, and do you want us to stop or go through the whole thing and then discuss it later? and they talk about tests and quizzes like multiple choice or true or false, and so teachers are very on top of it when it comes to those things. Like, they want the kids to do it themselves, but in our grade, it's normally like, what can we do better? And you need to tell us. Last week, my English teacher, he was like, I was planning on doing this trimester like I did last trimester, where we would read and then talk about it and then read some more and talk about it. Is that okay with everybody? And I raised my hand. I was like, that's great, but could we read more and then talk after class so we could all process it? And he was like, that's great, thank you. So they're on top of it and they listen, so as long as you say it nicely.
It feels great to be like, well, it's kind of just like, wow, Chris, how did you miss that? But it's also like, hey, you found it, and now it's gonna be that much better than it was if you didn't use this, if you didn't take that little step. It's minor, it's so quick, it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but it changes so much in your work, honestly. Technology is at your fingertips here. You think about these technologies as they're accommodations, but to here they just seem like they're so accessible that they don't have that connotation or that label on them. I can go talk to the IT office anytime and say, hey, can you help me download this program? Help me with my writing. There's Dragon, which is a speech-to-text program. There's WordQ. There's Inspiration for organizing your work and different essays. But also the phones on campus, it's huge because I use my phone as a planner. I can plug it in, type the assignment in my phone and be like, remind me at 6 p.m. tonight that I need to finish my Spanish assignment, and it reminds me, and then I can just check it off, clear it, and then it's done, and it's concrete, it's visual, and it's tactical. It's like 3 major things that people with learning-based differences need to finish a project. So these technologies have made me feel less alienated from a lot of different groups with social and or educational access. I mean, I've been able to produce better work because of these programs and these technologies, and it's almost leveled me off with a lot of students in my grade. I mean, I've got cousins that are my age, and we're talking about the same topics and the same writing because of these programs, and I'm almost met with them, and it's just this whole dynamic between technologies, work, and social that really bridge that gap.